When you look at current players, be it England or Pakistan that you were coaching as well, is there any individuals that go out of their way to really, really focus in on their psychology that stand out to you? Is there anyone that you can say to us that is really pushing this?
There's no players.
Okay.
And if they do, usually they're such good players that they might mention it, but they're not going to harp on about it. They've probably got, the one that stands out for me is like Jeremy Snape. He's a sports psychologist. He was an ex-player himself. He's gone out there, and I look at some of his stuff. I'm studying psychology myself at the moment. I'm doing a doctorate in psychology.
Nice.
So,
where does Jeremy, which team is he associated with now?
I'm not sure who's with it now, but he's been with most of the big sides. I don't think he aligns himself with one side. He comes in and does talks to sides, but
he's like an independent consultant. Now.
Independent. So he's got his own clinic, and he's very successful. And he does a great podcast. Forgotten what it's called, but Jeremy Snape. If you look him up, he's and he's good because I said to you, there's a disconnect between the psychologist back in my day, and now he speaks, articulates, uses cricket language. So I feel like he makes it more approachable, I guess. Yeah, he doesn't make you feel like you're laying on the sofa. So he breaks it down into a more palatable and more user friendly. Wow, I think that's why he's had success.
And when you say even in your day, there were psychologists available, their offers weren't taken up very much, but they were there. Let's talk about Jonathan Trott for a second. I think brilliant batsman in the way, and I think he had an excellent peak when he was at his best. But obviously there were a lot of mental health challenges there. Mm-hmm. Do you think part of the reason he stopped was because he didn't take up the offer of the psychologist available to him?
I don't know. It's a good one. I actually know Jonathan pretty well, but I think I'm seeing him on Friday, so I'll ask him that. But that's a good question. I think that the knowledge on mental health, and I think mental health only became really a thing around about that time, and probably like 5 or 10 years before that.
Agree.
I can give you an example of how quickly it's evolving. Was I lived with a guy in 1992, a guy called Danny Calla, who played for Kent. We lived in an apartment actually just not far from around here on the Isle of Dogs, and he got injured early on in the career. In his season. It was he had his last season of a contract. He split up with his girlfriend, and he shared an apartment with me, Joe Benjamin, and himself, Danny Calla. So there was the three of us. And he basically laid on the sofa and watched TV for the entire summer, didn't sleep down in his room. Me and Joey were like, what's wrong with this guy? He's a bum. Do you know what I mean? We had zero education of what he might be. We just thought he's just a bum. Didn't come into training because he had a sore back. People at work stopped asking about him because, he's going to get sacked at the end of the year anyway. So, but this is 1990, I want to say 91, 92.
Okay, a long time ago.
Anyway, unfortunately, at the end of that season, we went our own ways, and unfortunately, he committed suicide. And at the time, I'm embarrassed to say this, but I just thought, what a loser. And I'm an empathetic and compassionate guy. It doesn't sound like it. But when I look back now, I'm embarrassed. Because then I reckon about 4 or 5 years later, someone came out and said, started talking about depression. And at the time, I would have been like, was that in the elbow? Was that like a shoulder? Is that a shoulder? And that's just not even known what it was. Mental health was like, what the hell is that? So now, people talk about depression. And then I was like, spoke to some of the other guys. I was like, what? And it's again embarrassing to say. I was like, geez, do you reckon Danny had depression? Of course, but at the time we just weren't in a position to recognize it. And, if that happened now, you'd be straight away, you'd be in speaking to the coach or the people. There's someone at the work that can help, or, there's helplines. It's so, prevalent and so well spoken. I think sometimes too much. But at least people, the awareness is never a problem. I just think sometimes people talk about, everyone's like, you got to talk about it. Well, I think there needs to be further education, and people need to know that, you do, but not every minute of every day, because I think that what that does is it actually affirms the fact that you're feeling depressed. And if all you're talking about is your problems, then
sometimes you can think about it too much.
And that causes the problem. So I think it's an education and re-education, and it's going to keep, it's going to keep going.